This is Aito Segno Senshi, a Sailor Moon podcast.
I'm Cherie Vondelarias, and you can follow me on Facebook at Cherie Vondelarias, and Daughters of Crystal Tokyo Fanfiction. And you can also follow me on Twitter at C Vondelariz, CVONDILARIZZ.
And I am Fandina. You can follow me on Facebook at Fandina or Twitter at Fandina Cosplay.
And our website, you can check us out at aitosegnosenshi.weebly.com, and that is AITOSEIGNOSENSHI.weebly.com.
Or you can email us at aitosegnosenshi, spelled the way she said it, at gmail.com.
And we also you can also find us on Facebook now. We have a podcast Facebook page, so feel free to check us out. We'll make sure we put a link to it up on our website. And
there is one on the website.
Well, Fandina takes care of the website, so she would know. We have a few things we're going to talk about today. We have a fun top 10 list for you. We're also going to talk about the passing of our voice actors for Sailor Pluto. And we are going to talk about some con/community drama that we have encountered and that we want to speak to our listeners, and the community about. So, let's start with our fun part, our top 10 list. And what we are top 10ing today is bad dub Deke/Cloverway moments from the classic 90s anime. You know, because it was just so superb. We really had to struggle to get these moments. And we're going to start with... Go ahead.
I'll put a link on the webpage, but if you go to... There's this one website that they have most of the episodes that they literally did side by side, watching them to compare them. And I used this website way back when. But, I mean, it's just hilarious just going through everything that they changed.
So we're going to start with number 10, and that's basically just all of the voice changes. And we kind of wanted to mention it because it's annoying, but we understand that it might have been needed. But they changed voices so much in the classic anime, especially when you're talking Deke to Cloverway. And you know, you kind of finally get used to this version of Usagi's, you know, Serena's annoying voice, and then you get a new one. It just, it kind of throws the viewer off, and so neither one of us really cared for the amount of changes that took place. You have anything to say on that, Fandina?
I hated Darian's new voice. I hated it. That's all I have to say is, yeah.
I do have a clip. I'm going to play a little snippet of it, just to give you a couple of stabs at her voice, but you can find more on our website, because we're going to put this link up.
I love looking up at the constellations. Oh, look, the swan.
That was Tracy Moore.
And their tuxedo mask. You from the evil temptation.
And how different that is. This is Linda Valentine.
Just heard. Yes, the good old pudding of relativity. Let me see. Well, it's relative, of course, but it's like you mix eggs.
Yeah, I think that kind of speaks for itself. All right, Fandina, you're up with number 9.
Okay. Number 9 is the fact that they pretty much spoiled everything in the first episode. The first 1 minute and 20 seconds of the dub, where it talks about Moon Kingdom and what happened, that wasn't there. As far as seeing anything about the princess before everything is revealed, it's shadows. I mean, you could tell who it is, but there's still that, you know, that there's some kind of mystery to it. You know, whether or not it's actually her or if it's, you know, someone who might be related to her, because you don't don't get any of that. They pretty much copied and pasted it from where she got her memories to the front one. It wasn't needed.
No, I think that spoiled too much for viewers. It kind of, yeah, it did. It gave everything away, and then as you're watching it, you're going, we already know who the Moon Princess is. But...
Right. Like I said, you see shadows, and like I said, it's very hard. It's very easy to go, oh, yeah, it has to be Sailor Moon. But, I mean, there's still that... I don't think you necessarily have their romance and everything with just his dreams or just her dreams.
Right, there are pieces that they spoiled it. And there are pieces that we could have had more fun figuring out later if they had not done that. So, and of course, number 8, well, yeah, Serena Usagi's laugh in the English dub, especially we've got a clip from from one of the movies.
Warn me before you do that. That's in my ear.
Sorry. But that was just... The fact that you had to say that that speaks to how annoying that voice, that laugh is. Oh my gosh. I hated that high-pitched laugh. Even as a kid in middle school, high school, whatever, watching this, I was like, oh my god, why is she laughing like that? Why?
She sounds psychotic.
Right? So, but yeah, no. Serena's laugh, yeah, please don't ever subject us to that kind of laugh ever again.
I beg of you.
Right, we both beg.
Don't play in my ear again.
I won't play that in your ear again. So, you want to move on to number 7?
Yes. Her and I have discussed this one before. I know Sherry doesn't mind it too much, but the old woman voice that they use for Luna.
She does sound like a British middle-aged woman.
Which I have no problem with the British accent.
No, me either.
I know some people that bothered Amy too, but the accents don't bother me. It's just the fact that, and granted, I don't know if the the S movie was made yet, or if they didn't have any intentions of bringing it, or if they just didn't know anything about it. But, I mean, even so, she is a youthful, in the series, a youthful cat who you can tell she's youngish. She doesn't act like an old. Frankly.
Right. It makes you wonder if they did the older voice because she was supposed to be the guardian watching over them and didn't take into account that doesn't mean you necessarily have to sound like a middle-aged person. You can be wiser and not sound older. I'm sure our listeners probably would not have any idea how old either one of us are based on our voices.
I'm 185.
I'm a little over 200.
Dang.
Well, Cherie, writing, yeah, I'm a little over 200. But anyway, on that same if we're talking about voices and language and how they did that, we move on to our number 6, which is Valley Girl Speak. Just because...
whatever.
Yeah, just because they were supposed to be teens does not mean that they had to sound like Valley Girls all the time.
That's wicked cool.
And I think the sad thing is, I think Usagi was one of the worst. It was probably the worst.
She was.
And this is supposed to be our heroine and our princess. Really? Really?
Deke was done and like really close to what was it? Was dubbed in 95 over here.
Yes.
They weren't really talking too much like that, especially once the once Cloverway came with the Super SNS series.
Yeah.
People didn't talk like it.
Yeah. No, people didn't talk like that anymore. That was, but they still put it in there, and we just have to ask why, even though we'll never know the answer. But why?
Oh, Deke.
Right?
You ready?
Yep.
Are we ready for number 5?
We are ready for number 5.
Okay. Number 5 is any mention of the Negaverse during R, because the Negaverse, which was the Dark Kingdom, which is what they renamed the Dark Kingdom, was done by the time R came around.
Yeah.
The 2 aliens were not from there. The Black Moon family was not from there. It was a totally different set of enemies.
Right, and once they recovered their memories, which was pretty well right away, they would have known that the Negaverse, or the Dark Kingdom, was gone. They defeated it. So why would one still be talking about it?
I don't know, I guess maybe it would scare kids that if there was more than one evil group.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I think another thing that was scary brings us to our number 4, which is Naru or Molly's accent. Now, we stated earlier, no problem with accents. I mean, personally, on my smartphone, I have given my GPS an Australian accent because I think it sounds really cool. But Naru's...
My grandmother was British, so I grew up with British accent.
But Naru, Molly...
British accent, so it doesn't bother me.
Yeah. Molly's accent, though, that was just really, really bad. I could...
It was that heavy Boston thing, wasn't it?
It sounded almost really heavy East Coast, New Jersey, Boston, but it didn't fit for the character and it didn't fit for the show. I have no problem with a Boston accent. I don't know how, but my Midwestern born and raised 4-year-old sometimes sounds like he's from Boston. But that accent, that voice that they gave her just grated on me. I cringed every time she went to speak.
It was so heavy, it was distracting from the story.
Yes.
Which was bad, especially since once you had Nephrite, she had a pretty major part in it.
Right, because of the way
storyline.
Is the way they portrayed her and Nephrite's relationship. Nephrite, right?
Oh yeah, I guess I should be using dub names since we're talking about the dub.
That's why I'm trying to switch between both, because
Oops.
I like the sub names, but we are talking about the dub, so I'm trying to use both.
I forgot.
Well, why don't you forget your way on to number 3?
Okay, number 3, which, they cut up a lot of the episodes, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, these are the only 2 episodes that they made into one. That was the last couple episodes of the classic series. The Japanese names were the Senshi Dai, the Tragic Final Battle, and Usagi's Everlasting Wish, a new reincarnation. I think, if I remember right, the dub name for those 2 was Day of Destiny. They cut out a lot, including every Senshi dying. They didn't die.
All right, they just disappeared. Kind of, You saw them go off fighting, and you never knew what happened to them.